Hello, my little ratlings. It's come to my attention that some of you might be lacking in the funds department. And let me just say, my honest reaction to that information is, I jest. I'm here to help you. Today, I've got a little life hack for you to help you spend less money when going into raid. You see, you guys are just spending way too much money on guns. You keep buying these expensive guns and tricking them out with cool race car parts, going into raid with them, and then getting head iced immediately. But it's okay, I have a solution. I've got a list of budget gun options that'll help you save what little you got left in that wallet of yours. For this list, I have two categories. The first one is the piss guns. That's gonna be your little guns, like SMGs and small caliber rifles, shooting those piss bullets, doing barely any damage to your opponents. And the second category is the man guns. If it ain't shooting 50 BMG, then it ain't gonna keep you free. So I've got 3 weapon choices for each category, with each one increasing in caliber. The guns on this list are all available to buy from traders, but they're all really cheap on Flea Market, which is why I picked them.
How's your collection coming along?
Well, I don't mean to brag, but it's pretty sweet. I'm in the process of acquiring issue 347, which will give me my 4th complete set.
No.
What weenies?
Start off with the piss guns. I got the PP9 Clin. This gun shoots 9x18 commie rounds and is being sold for around 15k on the flea market. The best budget ammo available for the Clin is 9x18 BZHT at 71 rubles a bullet, available to buy from Prapper level 2. This gun offers no modification, but it does have good stats right out of the box. Next is the PP1901 Vichiaz. This gun was Russia's realization that commie piss bullets just ain't as good as America piss bullets. Chambered in 9x19, this gun is available to buy on the flea market for around 14k. The best budget ammo for the Vichiaz is 9x19 AP 6.3 at $2 a bullet, available to buy from Peacekeeper level 3, and this gun does offer modification. Next is the HK UMP 45. This gun is a gift handed down from God. Chambered in God blessed 45 ACP, this gun is the definition of based. This gun is available to buy on the flea market for around 25k. The best budget ammo to buy for the UMP is 45 Hydroshock, available to buy from Peacekeeper level 3 at $2 a bullet, and it does allow for some slight modifications. Alright, now we can go on to the man guns. There is going to be a bit of a jump in price between these 3 guns and the previous 3 guns, but it's made up for by the fact that these guns don't shoot piss bullets. First, we got the wannabe machine gun, the RPK-16. Chambered in 5.45x39, this gun is available for around 35k on the flea market. The best budget ammo available to buy for the RPK-16 is 5.45x39 PS at 153 rubles a bullet, available to buy from Prapper level 3. This gun only allows for slight modification. Next, we got the gentrified AKM, the AK-103. Chambered in 7.62x39. This gun is available to buy from the flea market for around 30k. The best budget ammo available for this gun is 7.62x39 PS at 262 rubles a bullet, available to buy from Prapper level 3. This gun does allow for extensive modification. Last on this list, we've got an Eldritch Abomination designed by a deranged lunatic, the Keltec RFB. Chambered in 7.62x51, this gun is available to buy for around 45k on the flea market. The best budget ammo for this gun is BCP FMJ at 252 rubles a bullet, available to buy from Jaeger level 3. This gun allows no modifications. So now that you've seen the list, let me show you my favorite builds for these guns. I just want to make a note real quick that all of these guns are good in their default configurations. So if parts are hard to come by or you don't have the extra cash, there's no need to stress about it. So for the Clan, like I said, it doesn't allow any modifications, but here are the stats real quick. Before I get into the Vichiaz, I just want to highlight some key parts that are going to be consistency between all of my builds. The Magpul AFG grip OD green. This forward grip is the best of both worlds when it comes to recoil reduction and increasing ergonomics. I like the OD green version specifically because you can buy this one for rubles from Mechanic. The next key part is the Olight Balder Pro. This tac device flashlight laser combo is really efficient for the price, costing only around 9k from Skier. The light isn't super bright like other flashlights, so you can actually see what the hell you're looking at whenever you flash it at somebody. And it has a red laser on it, which I think is cooler than blue. Another key part is the Chris Defiance DS150 stock. This has to be one of the most efficient stocks for the price, costing around I think $67 from Peacekeeper. It provides plenty of ergonomics and recoil reduction, and it costs a fraction of the price of most stocks. Another key part is the AK Tapco Saw Grip. This pistol grip is going to be your go-to for most players. It's easily unlocked at an early point in the game, and it's honestly the best in slot when it comes to the price, which I believe to be only around 10k with Mechanic. There's some other key parts that I consistently use in my builds, but I don't universally use them all with everything, so I'll just list them later whenever I get to it. Alright, so back to the Vichiaz. So So a lot of these key parts I mentioned can be found on this build. Unfortunately, the flashlight couldn't make it onto this build because it can't be attached to this handguard, which the handguard I picked was the Academia Dominator. And the last key part is the Zenit RP1 charging handle for AKs. If you look at the front of the gun, you'll notice I didn't put a suppressor. I try my best not to suppress my builds because suppressors are expensive and they can add a lot of cost to your build that is unnecessary. So for this, I stuck with the standard muzzle brake. As far as sights go, I know there's a dust cover with Picatinny rails for the Vityaz. If I'm being honest, I'm just gonna end up using the EKP Cobra in the end anyways. The dovetail version costs about 5k less than the regular version, and it saves me from having to buy that dust cover. Oh, also my preferred mag is the banana mag. Here are the stats for this build, as well as the total cost of all these parts plus the gun. Alright, so going to the UMP, it's pretty simple. I'm sticking with that AFG OD grip, as well as that Olay Boulder Pro, and since there's not much modification to be done to this gun, I actually do spend the extra money on suppressor, which is going to help a lot with that recoil. As far as sights go, I will say that you don't really need one, and because optics vary between person to person, all I can really recommend is whatever you like best. Here are the stats for this build, as well as the total cost of all the parts plus the gun. Going on to the RPK, you'll notice there's a lot of those universal parts I mentioned. Other than that, for muzzle devices, I like to use the PWSC QB. This one is unlocked later in game, but it is the best in slot. So for optics, this is one of those parts I mentioned earlier that aren't universal between all of my builds, but I do consistently use sometimes. I've got a Kibo Arms 2.5x prism scope. I rarely see anybody using this scope, which I find kinda odd because it's really good. It's unlocked very early with Skier, and it cost only 20k to buy from him, and has a perfect zoom for a caliber like 5.45, and my favorite magazine is the AK-12 mags. Here are the stats for this build, as well as the total cost of all the parts plus the gun. So for the AK-103, there's a lot of those universal parts I mentioned earlier. Other than that, if you look at the muzzle device, I got a JMAC on there. These are by no means cheap unless you have them unlocked from traders, but it is currently the best in slot that I have. If you can get any other muzzle device with at least 9% recoil reduction, that should be fine. For my handguard, I actually use the UFM Krebs. This handguard's kind of being slubbed on in my opinion, and I don't think a lot of people actually know about it, and it's not buyable from traders, which might be why. Another reason why is that it actually needs a Kibo Arms gas tube, which is only available to buy from Mechanic. Otherwise, it's a little expensive on the flea market. Other than that, it provides excellent stats for the price, which is around 10k on the flea market. For my optics, I got that Prism 2.5x, and I also have a PK06 candid sight, just because 7.62 can be a little unruly, and I like to have a backup. I should also mention that as far as buffer tubes go, I'm using the AK-12 buffer tube on both the RPK and the AK-103. Here are the stats of this build, as well as the total cost of all the parts plus the gun. Alright, so last is the RFB. Now, this thing's a little yucky, and it doesn't really allow for much modification at all, but I kind of do what I can with it. So one of the worst things about this gun is actually the ergonomics, which is really weird because it's actually pretty ergonomic in real life. So to help mediate that, I actually slap on some M-Bus front and rear sights, which will add 2 ergonomics on their own. I also use that Magpul AFG and OD green grip just because they're really cheap to buy, but if you can get a good grip with some ergonomics, I actually think you should just shoot for that and not worry about recoil. And then for my optic, I actually switch off of the Prism, and I like to use the ACOG 4X instead. The reason for this is that you can't put a candid backup sight on the RFB. And I know there's other options out there, like using a delta point on a hammer, or getting those scope rings that allow for mounting on top, but that can get really expensive and also kill your ergonomics. So instead, I just like to use the ACOG with that little iron sight on top. I used to not like the ACOG that much, but I've been using a lot this wipe, and I have to say, I actually think I like it more than the Prism now. Not to mention, it's actually really cheap from Peacekeeper. Also for the magazine, try to use the SA58 polymer mags if you can. It's going to help with that ergonomics penalty. Here are the stats for this build, as well as the total cost of all the parts plus the gun. Yeah, so that's it. Those are my budget guns. I'd actually like if you guys would let me know if this budget was good enough for you. It can be a little difficult at times to try to gauge what most players need. And I know for a lot of people, this is going to be undershooting by a lot, but a lot of people are going to really appreciate this. So if you guys found this helpful, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed, and thank you for watching.